Welcome, STEM for Girls members. I'm Kaitlyn Breon, and I'm excited to be speaking with Jacqueline Lee today, the CEO of PolyUnity Tech. So let's get started. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Jacqueline?
Yeah, absolutely, Kaitlyn. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Jacqueline Lee, as you said. I am the CEO of PolyUnity. I'm also the mom. I have a blended family, all boys, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. So it's fun and chaotic. Academically, I did 2 degrees at MUN. I have a Bachelor of Commerce in Finance and a Bachelor of Arts in Economics. And a little bit of my history, I guess. After I graduated, it was tough to find a job in this job market 20 plus years ago. So I had to leave and go to Halifax, and I started my career in property management, self-storage, construction, leasing. So nothing at all to do with the tech sector. But then in 2012, I had an opportunity to come back home to Newfoundland, and I couldn't have been more excited to come back home. And that's where I started my family and got another job in construction. So it wasn't until, gosh, 8 years ago that I got into the tech sector. So I had joined a local company. We did GPS tracking for like snow plows and utility trucks and that sort of thing. And I'd never ever considered a tech sector career before that, but someone I worked with recruited me in there. So I said, I'd love to try it. And we grew that company up, and when we sold it to TELUS. And then after we sold it to a huge multinational corporation, it wasn't quite as much fun anymore. We lost all of our autonomy and the speed. So I was eager to get back and try something else that had a stronger social cause behind it. And that's where I joined PolyUnity. So long introduction there. And you asked me to present a soft skill that perhaps I have. As much as I studied economics and finance, I try to do less and less of that on a daily basis. What I most enjoy, I think, is helping build a culture here at PolyUnity and taking care of our people and building an awesome team.
Awesome. So that kind of leads me to my first question was, did you know in high school what kind of career you wanted? Like, did you vision yourself in this position now?
Oh gosh, not at all. Not at all. I was shy. I was introverted. I picked business, to be honest, because it was general and I thought that I could work anywhere. I mean, it did interest me a little bit, but I definitely didn't think that any of the engineering or science fields were up my alley. So I picked business and I picked finance because I really liked playing with money and banking and playing with spreadsheets and all of that stuff. So I had a career counseling meeting with a prof that came to our high school one afternoon, and I decided to apply for business. So not a lot of support 20 plus years ago on trying to help students figure out their best career paths. I'm happy to say that's a little bit different now, especially with programs like this are fantastic. And we hosted 3 high school students here this summer, actually, for internships at PolyUnity. So super excited to be able to give students real world applications and help them figure out the things that interest them.
Yeah, that's great. So you said you have 2 degrees from MUN?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess you kind of answered what chose you to choose those, but that leads me into thinking, do you think both of those degrees were necessary for the career path that you led? Or would you say that one is prioritized over the other?
I did them both at the same time. So I didn't stay longer. I just took extra courses throughout my work terms and stuff. I found economics super interesting, and with a couple of extra courses, I could have got like a whole nother degree. So I chose that path. I think it gave me an incredible foundation. I mean, I think any leader should be able to interpret and analyze and understand financial statements, for example, but you certainly don't need a finance degree to do that. I think it gave me the analytical way that I attack situations and make decisions and come to the table with that in analyzing situations. But no, not necessarily at all. I don't think it. I think I would have got to this path regardless, but it certainly gave me an incredible foundation.
Yeah. Would you say that it was difficult to get accepted, or is there any subjects that students in high school should focus on if they want to pursue this degree?
Math. Math was my favorite subject. I loved math. I think English is really important to be able to communicate and be able to articulate yourself and your ideas, whether that's in writing or verbally, I think is really important. And the better able you're to do that, and the earlier you're able to do that, the more successful you'll be. I fully believe that. So I mean, you don't need to put a lot of focus on English, but I think English is certainly, it helps lay that foundation for those skills, so that you can think about how important communication is and how you can frame your messaging and convince the people you're working with.
Mm-hmm. When you went to university, were there any skills that you found you had to put extra effort into, or any like unexpected challenges in learning?
Yeah, I did not enjoy. I'm a very like black and white person, so trying to play in the gray is especially difficult for me. I'm very analytical. I love things that are right or wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's just where I'm comfortable. That doesn't mean it's correct. So like physics was difficult for me. Chemistry, doing labs was tough. I just really love the math courses and the finance courses and even history. There's lots of amazing lessons in history that you can apply to the business world, to your personal world. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. No, that was great. Is it, I guess, building off of, well, you said that you did the second degree because it was just a few extra courses. So I'm guessing that you did a lot of courses in university. But were there any that you wish you could have taken, or looking back now, that if you had taken or pursued a different area would have helped you in your career?
I don't know if they would have helped me, but I certainly would have. I mean, in hindsight, at what I'm doing every day now, I would have spent more time on psychology. I think could have been really interesting, understanding how people think, how people work, what motivates them, how they make decisions, especially in the business world where you're trying to convince people of something or that your product is valuable and they should buy it or take a chance on it. I think psychology is super relevant in all kinds of ways. So that I would have done that a little bit more. Marketing. I would have laughed at you in university if this was suggested, but that's one of the most favorite parts of my job right now. We don't have any full-time marketing staff, so sort of a team effort. And I think we've done an amazing job this past year or so communicating to the world what PolyUnity is and the impact that we're having. And that's just the most fun, to be able to interact with the public and people that are using our product and to be able to help tell our story. So I definitely would have spent some more time on marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's easier to see now in hindsight what you wish you would have taken. But you mentioned when you first graduated, there wasn't a lot of jobs available. But would you say now that for someone with your education, is there a lot, or is it relatively the same?
No, I think it's a completely different landscape. I mean, there's something to be said with exploring the world a little bit and doing some traveling and trying different some experiences. But I'm a really huge advocate for trying to keep our smartest young people here in this province, and to be able to show them the wealth of opportunities that are available. I don't think they have to make the same hard choices that I had to make at all. I think there's incredibly exciting stuff going on here. Some of the most innovative tech, innovative ideas are coming right from this province. So, I mean, whether you leave for a little while to try different things out, I implore everyone to come back. I think it's incredible here. So no, not at all. It's completely different.
Well, that's good to know for students here interested in
Yes.
business. But I guess more on a local level, would you say that you've seen a lot of growth in PolyUnity since you've been there?
Yeah. I think there was 4 of us when we started, and now there's I have 9 full-time staff, 2 part-time, and we have between 4 and 6 student internships at all times.
Wow.
And as soon as I get a couple of clients, I'd say that's going to double. I need salespeople, I need marketing people, I need graphic designers and software developers and product designers. So we need to expand all of our teams. So yeah, I'd say within the next year we're going to be double our size.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Just in case anyone watching doesn't know a lot about PolyUnity, could you give like a brief summary of what you guys do?
Sure. Our mission, our vision for the next, we just met on it a couple of weeks ago as a group actually, and decided what our strategy is. And this is your long-term vision that's going to like survive the next 50 years, but it's improving healthcare experiences. So we're using 3D printing or additive manufacturing and applying it to healthcare. So we're very focused on either unclassed or class 1 medical devices, so things that you don't need Health Canada approval on, but giving nurses and doctors and frontline workers the tools they need to do their jobs more effectively, to solve problems. So over the last year, we've developed well over 200 products. And the ideas mostly came from frontline workers. So we have nurses and doctors and technicians and lab techs that are giving us their ideas or telling us about their problems, really. And then we design and come up with solutions for them really, really quickly.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from helping patients, giving a voice to the healthcare professionals directly, that's great.
Yeah.
I think you had a few things there that you wanted to show.
Yeah, I got some cool examples if we want to go over them.
Yeah, definitely.
We started out the company actually doing simulation training devices, so things that we could help nurses and doctors learn how to do procedures on before they did them on actual humans. Not a huge market and hard to sell a lot of, so we sort of pivoted a bit to what I just talked about. But we started off, where's the camera? We started off making like ear simulations.
Wow.
It's fuzzy. So this thing is a 3D printed mold, and then we had a silicone ear, but they can actually like do procedures and find the eardrums, and there's certain markers on the inside that help doctors learn how to play with your ears in a safe way. This is another thing, Catherine, camera's fuzzy. I'm just going to take off the background. We'll do that after. But this is a tibia bone for a child, actually. And we were playing around with different skin colors to try to get diversity included. But this opens up and there's a bone inside with all the different pieces of the bone and silicone that is feels like skin. So there's special markers there that they can figure out how to do procedures on that mimic a child's leg. What else do we have? I've got some finger splints. So right now, I hope you never break your finger, but if you do, the procedure's pretty terrible. they put like a metal splint on it and cover it in gauze and cloth, and it's atrocious. So we're doing like customized finger splints for people that are easy and simple, and much better than today's process. Two more examples, and then we can get back to some questions.
No, this is great.
When we were doing the vaccine rollout, when the Pfizer vaccines shipped over, I'm just gonna try to take off my background. It's not so blurry. There we go. When we did the vaccine pilot, the Pfizer vaccines came in these huge boxes, and it was like 1,000 tightly packed vials in these pizza tray type boxes. So it was really difficult, and they had to be stored under like -50-degree temperature. They couldn't tilt at all, or the medicine would be compromised. So the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, was challenged with how to take these 1,000 vials and split them up into smaller quantities and put inside these small freezer containers so they can transport across the province for really quick deployment. So they came to us and said, can you help us solve the problem? At one point, they were playing around with styrofoam and face cloths. It was terrible. So within 48 hours, we had these things designed. So we could make them any size, any shape. They were stackable. There was space on the front for them to label the batch numbers. Went back and forth for a couple of weeks, and within 2 weeks, we had 400 of these printed and in use across the province. And I think we played a small part in Newfoundland being the most successful vaccination program in Canada. And the last example I'll show you, this is called a bolus mold. So for any person receiving cancer radiation therapy on their neck or face region, whether that's skin tumors or whatnot, it's really difficult to target the radiation to the right spot. So the process, normally you'd have to travel to the health science, and you're from Deer Lake, you can imagine patients having to go through that on a regular basis. Travel to the health science, get a plaster mold, plaster applied to your face and a mold made. Took hours. It was very uncomfortable, hard to breathe while this was happening. And then they would make a wax mold of that and then deliver the radiation therapy. So today, and also you needed a CAT scan to help with that. So today we scan it with our $1,000 scanner. And then the same day we deliver this 3D printed mold, and it's far better accuracy than the CT scan is able to produce. And you don't need to put a patient through that plaster arts and cracks session. So every radiation therapy now in the province to the face region is using one of our boluses. So we're super proud of that one.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I got like 100 more stories. So but we can get back to your questions.
Wow, I didn't know that you guys made those trays for the vaccines either. That is so cool.
Yeah. And radiology ordered like 150 of them a couple months ago. So I think for any refrigerated medicine, they're really useful. Not just a one-time.
No, that's situation. Great. That is so cool.
Thanks.
That kind of just leads to what I was wondering next is, what kind of advancements do you hope to see in your career that you haven't seen already? Because you guys have done a lot.
Oh my gosh. Well, lots. It's changing every day for us. Like the materials we get to play with, the capabilities of the machines. As we get more and more clients and we can afford more, we can buy some cooler machines that can do like bigger prints or play with different kinds of materials. But I mean, there's flexible materials and materials that the products can go under like high heat temperatures or very cold temperatures. So you can put them like through sanitization procedures or in autoclave machines. And then so there's that, like the types and breadth of products that we can do is just going to go through the roof, I think. And then when you can get in, think about the scan to print technologies and where that goes, but you can get really customized products that fit your body specifically, in really easy, affordable ways. So if you're thinking about orthotics for your shoes, or prosthetics for people missing limbs, or casts when you break limbs, knee braces, like the applications are endless, I think. And it will be, I'm most excited, I think, maybe about the access of it all. So giving people in remote locations the same quality of products and services without having to travel to these places. So in 20 years, I hope there's a PolyUnity printer in every tiny little clinic, and we're just sending our designs out over the internet, right? And that you can print it on the spot.
Yeah, that could definitely be revolutionary for Newfoundland and Labrador, especially.
Yep.
But yeah, wow. Are there any sectors of or specialties within technology and business that you think will increase in demand? Do you think that like technology applied to healthcare, like you are in, is going to grow in the future?
Oh my God, yes. Healthcare is probably the slowest to incorporate and adapt technology. I think it has massive potential. I mean, Newfoundland does not have a great record with healthcare. I think we have the most expensive healthcare and the least, one of the lower quality healthcares here. But I mean, I don't look at that in a negative light. I think that comes with massive opportunities for little companies like ours to bring innovative ideas. I don't think we necessarily need to spend more. I just think we need to be more creative with how we're spending it. And so healthcare especially, I think, has massive potential. I mean, energy is another huge one as we get away from our limited natural resources and into more renewable types. We're one of the windiest places on earth. I think we have huge potential to tap into that, to the energy coming from water, from wind, from solar. What else? I'm the chair of TechNL as well, so I get to know and play with all of these companies coming up with these cool ideas. So, and I think Newfoundland is a unique place to offer that. So I mean, I think it's the best place to live and work on Earth. So the more people that we can attract here and retain here after they graduate, and that we can sell these products and services globally, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. As the chair of TechNL, have you seen a lot of advancements in other sectors? Like you mentioned energy. Have you seen or witnessed growth in those areas in Newfoundland?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We got a booming gaming sector. I was chatting with the CEO of a Trophy AI who makes software to make you so that you can perform better on sports games. Wild. Deirdre Eyre, the CEO of Other Oceans, they have a huge presence here in Newfoundland and PEI, but they're collaborating and contributing to like games like Minecraft and all the popular games today, like Deirdre's team is collaborating on. So that's really cool. What else? I mean, name a sector. And I mean, right now, I mean, in 20 years, I think every company is going to be either a tech company or tech enabled. Every company, supermarkets, hospitality, restaurants, like you can't name an industry that's not going to be tech or tech enabled.
I didn't know that Newfoundland had much of a gaming industry, so that's really interesting.
It's very cool.
Wow. Are there any like common misconceptions that people have about the tech industry or working in the tech industry that you'd like to clear up?
I mean, I came from real estate and construction. So like, I don't think you can think of a bigger jump from one sector to another. And if you asked me 10 or 15 years ago, I would have said, I don't think that I qualify or belong. I could not have been more wrong. You don't need to be technical at all. And you can, like that doesn't certainly preclude you from participating quite successfully and having an amazing career in the tech sector if you're not technical. But whether it's human resources or marketing or graphic design or customer support or training, or some of the biggest tech companies have like retired teachers or teachers that transition from teaching into technical onboarding, have like training clients, training users to use things and writing like manuals. And absolutely. I have one of my product designers actually went back to school for engineering. He was a successful real estate agent for 20 years. Who else? Clark, one of our software developers. He came from oil and gas. He was a mechanical technologist in Alberta for a number of years. Came home and did a software development program and is now our senior software developer. Nicole, who's in charge of our people operations, she came from a kinesiology background, like sports medicine. And it's not that these people made a change in their career paths. I think they quite amazingly took the skills that they had and transferred them to different industries and different sectors and different careers. And those people are so skilled and so valuable because they can make use of those past skills. Right, so it wasn't wasted time at all. I think that it made those people much stronger, and I'm so delighted that they're on my team.
Yeah, I think that's something, even for myself, like deciding what I want to do in the future and other students, just realizing that technology is involved everywhere in any career. And like you said, like people who didn't expect to be working in tech could end up there.
Absolutely.
Like yourself.
Like amazing artists can be graphic designers. Psychology majors could be like really awesome salespeople. I mean, and that's something I think university needs to do a little bit better. That if you are going to choose a path of study, that you get exposed to different career options in each of those paths and diverse career options, because that's just something we need to do a better job on completely.
Yeah, definitely. Were there any events or did anything inspire you to leave property management and real estate and go into tech, or did it kind of just happen for you?
No, it was a happy accident. I don't think so. My president at PolyUnity, Mark Gillingham, took a year off and came and joined me in this construction company, and then he went back to the tech world and recruited me back with him. He thought that I could make a great CFO for Skyhawk, who's that GPS tracking company. I don't think I ever would have found that pathway there on my own, which is silly. So that's why I'm such a big advocate now for talking about the tech sector, because I don't know if people make those connections on them by themselves. And we talk a lot about the importance of transferable skills. And if you are changing from one sector to another, because people go into interviews sometime and they think they don't have enough experience or that they're starting from the bottom. Not at all. These people are like, they have superpowers if they come with these skills from other areas. Like Clark, the way Clark can manage projects, his project management skills as a software developer, like holy cow, super powerful. So I think we need to be a lot more open-minded with understanding the skills we have and how they can be applied to any any company.
I agree. It's definitely important to keep an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you are CEO of PolyUnity, what is your career goal for you? It could be personal or your goal for PolyUnity while you'll be working there. Is there anything specific that you have a goal for?
Well, I'd still consider us a startup at this point. So I'm rooting for us to make it and make it big. Um, I mean, Verafin, everyone knows about Verafin at this point. They're the largest tech employer in the province. They're going to surpass 1,000 people this year. They represent the largest acquisition in Canadian history of a tech company. They sort of broke the ceiling of what we all thought was possible in this province. So my plan now is to beat them and to surpass them. And they love they love hearing that as well. They showed everybody what was possible. And they'd love to have contenders up there with them on that same level. So having a ton of little companies be noticed across the globe, having Newfoundland being recognized not for its natural resources, but for its innovation and its human talent. That's sort of my hope. And I hope I'm leading one of the companies that do that.
Well, I'll be cheering you on in your race against Verafin. What is your favorite part of your position as CEO compared to other jobs that you've had?
Gosh. And this is the hardest job I've ever had, I think, at this point. We've got some huge barriers in front of us. We could not have picked a more difficult industry. And we're picking the hardest country to go at first. So healthcare is extremely bureaucratic, maybe a little bit more than government. So that in itself is a huge challenge. But I think we've done a great job breaking down some of those barriers. I hope the med tech startups coming behind us, we've made the path a little bit easier. But with that said, I think the work that we're doing is so important and so impactful, and that me and my team believe in it so much. And we should show up every day. I mean, the paycheck's a little bit even irrelevant. We're just having a ball. We almost have too much fun. The team enjoy spending time together. Just working with this team and the team atmosphere that we have is the best part.
Yeah, and I think speaking from my perspective and other students watching this, I think that's what we all hope for in our career. So it's really great that you found that in a position. But
Thank you.
Back to just the job availability in the tech industry, would you say, or do you know if there are a lot of opportunities to work remotely in a tech company in Newfoundland and Labrador?
Absolutely. Two of my employees are remote. They operate in Ontario, and the rest of our team is here. And then we offer the team the flexibility to make their decisions every day. A lot of us like coming into the office and just being amongst each other and seeing what everyone's working on and being able to collaborate. So that's still important, but everyone certainly has the flexibility to make their decisions that works with their life. I mean, a lot of us are parents, and that's complicated. And anyway, I digress. I think there's lots of incredible remote opportunities, especially in the tech sector. I think we do need to work on better internet here and better infrastructure. And the government seems, they promise that that's going to be a priority with them as well. But assuming that that's all taken care of, there's no reason why you can't have a very successful career, either completely remote or through these hybrid models. I've I've known lots of people here that have either come back home to Newfoundland or choose to make Newfoundland their home, and they work for companies outside of Newfoundland. I mean, the real estate here is amazing. You can get double or triple the size of a house for like a third of the price. And the nature is incredible. So yeah, absolutely. I do want to hear, I really want to hear about more examples of remote workers here in Newfoundland working for Newfoundland companies. But I mean, I think that's coming. But it's really cool to see a lot of Newfoundland workers working for remote companies or companies outside Newfoundland and doing it quite well. So I think none of that would have happened without COVID. So that's another silver lining of the pandemic, because it just showed us, for 2 years, that's how we had to operate. We were forced to. And then we all realized that, hey, this is not such a big deal. Everyone's still as productive or more productive than they were before, and potentially happier. So there's no reason to go back. Yeah, so I think it broke a lot of stereotypes of what remote work can and can't be.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that's important for, you mentioned keeping young people here in Newfoundland working. I would definitely say that's important because even tech companies in St. John's, it's difficult to get in with those if you don't live there. Even like for me, it's difficult to find, say, summer jobs with tech companies because there are none around here. But through remote work, that makes that possible. So I think it's definitely valuable for young people to see that in a company. And I also wondered, was there a big impact on PolyUnity from the pandemic?
Someone asked me this at lunch today. Absolutely. I don't think we'd be here without the pandemic. Or
Really?
I know for certain we wouldn't be here without the pandemic. I think the pandemic helped expose the vulnerabilities that existed in our healthcare system. It glaringly put a floodlight on how dependent we are on Asian markets for our normal supplies and devices. And the problems, I can go on and on about this question, but like we never had supply chain problems before. They would have relationships with these distributors for the last 4 or 5 decades, and they didn't even order stuff. Like they had things on an automatic inventory system where it would just show up on a regular basis and go on the shelf. So like hospitals never had to think about inventory per se at all, or even consider the possibility that something wouldn't show up when they ordered it. I did a lot of work early on during the pandemic with Task Force Newfoundland, and we were trying to procure PPE for the frontline workers. And I mean, it was crazy the things we got into, proof of life, and the research we had to go see if these distributors were even real. And then they'd have to show proof that the PPE was real, and wild back when all of those supplies were disappearing. But throughout the pandemic, over and over, PolyUnity got to, people came to us and said, can you help with this? And we got to show time and time again that we could help solve problems really quickly. So it definitely proved our value. Sanitizer, for example, the NLC was amazing and started making sanitizer really quickly, but they deliver them in these huge liquor bottles. And there was first of all, there was no way to attach them to the wall. So we fixed that. And then we had pumps that went in the bottle, but they didn't fit. So we created adapters to make the pumps fit the bottles. So really quick, simple solutions. Like, I don't know what they would have done otherwise. They would have been like pouring it straight out of the bottle. It's crazy. So that's just one example of many where we helped out really quickly. And then we also pivoted very early on and helped make face shields. So we made 125,000 face shields. And the money from that helped build up a little cash reserve so that we could hire people and we could survive for the last 2 years without having to go to raise capital. So now we're at this, and it bought us all that time. So for the last 2 years, we've made lots of products and we've developed our software, and now we have something like that we're about to sell to Eastern Health and to the Children's Hospital in Ottawa and the Texas kids in the States. So yeah, we absolutely wouldn't have survived without the pandemic.
Wow. That's a different change from what people usually say happened in the pandemic, but I would agree. It definitely put a spotlight on the healthcare system, but hopefully with the technology you guys have, especially, we can build our way out of that not too long, hopefully. But I kind of have a personal question, which I mentioned that I'm interested in engineering. But I also really enjoy the people component of working, like you mentioned, like the culture, and I do like being in a leadership position. So I don't know, I've been considering, should I do a business degree or should I consider engineering further? But I was just wondering for your opinion, would you say that a business program is better for a career path like you have done, or can it be followed with either a technical degree or a business degree?
No, I think you could absolutely do either. I've got all my product designers on my engineering team have leadership qualities, and that doesn't hold them back at all in their career path that they have. We believe in continuous professional development as well. Rachel graduated from mechanical design engineering a year ago, so she's one of our lead designers. But she's at the Gardner Institute right now doing a 6-month business course. So no, I definitely don't think one precludes the other at all. Some of the most intelligent people I've ever worked with are engineers, but also have that business sense as well. I've met lots of engineers that don't have business sense as well. But when you have that combination together, I mean, those are your future CEOs and future leaders, I think, when you can combine both business and technical aspects. Now, I mean, that said, I think I'm a pretty good leader and I have no technical abilities. So I don't necessarily think one precludes the other. And then there's lots of avenues to, I mean, if you did an engineering degree, then you can get your MBA afterwards. There's lots of engineers with MBAs. I think the university is getting a bit more progressive with developing out some of those career paths and now helping students get a full rounded perspective. I don't think that helped you at all.
No, it was great. But it is sometimes hard to see how you can end up in a different career from the degree that you're doing, just as a high school student. But it's nice to know that even if you choose one when you're not certain, you can end up in either. It's very reassuring.
Yeah, and I think programs like this, STEM for Girls and TechNL's internship program that they did in the summer, I mean, getting high school students out in real workplaces and letting them try a bunch of different things. I think that helps make some of your decisions or gives you some sort of sense of direction. So as many volunteer opportunities as you can have, whether they're or even paid opportunities, paid or unpaid, when you can spend time with companies and see different aspects of what they're doing. It's an initiative we're working on with TechNL too, to try to we're picking a bunch of women out of local tech companies and like show you a day in the life of So you can sort of see what people go through on a day-to-day basis in their roles, in all kinds of different roles, because I don't think it's anything like what people think.
Yeah. Before I ask my next question, the gamification code is Business NL for anyone watching this, the recording or live. Business NL. And I was just wondering about that Tech NL internship program. What ages is that open for? Because a lot of the members of STEM for Girls might be interested in applying for that.
I should know this. So I might have to come back with edits to my answer if I am incorrect. And we're learning from it, like what it was last year is different than what it was this year versus next year. We'll learn and adjust as we go. I took 3 students this summer, and I think 2 were grade 11 and 1 was grade 12, or going into grade 11 and 12. So not even university ready yet. So I think it's probably grade 10, 11, and 12. It would be open to. We have to do a much better job this year at getting businesses to volunteer and take on students. We didn't have a great uptake this year, so we'll fix that for next year. I really want, for any student that applies, I really want to be able to offer them a placement. I don't want to have to say no to anybody. And Verifin took 60 actually, so
wow.
They took a huge number on, and then we did another 20 plus in the other companies. So hopefully next year we can roll it out much more.
Yeah, so is that available to university students too, or people post-graduation?
But there's a whole other wealth of opportunities for university students, but the co-op programs with computer science, with engineering, with business, there's lots of funding groups available that help young companies like myself afford to be able to take on internships. But yeah, I mean, we have 4 at any given time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are, I mean, it's not just us doing a good thing. I mean, this is really important for us to support in the community, but like, these are my future employees.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them we've already hired. And there's another 3 that as soon as they graduate, they have jobs here if they want them. So, I mean, this is for our advantage as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we are just about out of time, but I do want to ask, is there any final pieces of advice you have or anything you want to touch on that we haven't yet?
Oh gosh. LinkedIn. I think everybody should be on LinkedIn. I think it's a very, very powerful professional resource. This is how you can communicate with the world. So get on LinkedIn and engage. Like, get lots of different perspectives, comment on things that you see are interesting, ask questions. I think that's super powerful. It's changed our company and it's changed my world for sure. And I'm like a shy, introverted person, and I'm not very shy and introverted on LinkedIn. So it's a great avenue to communicate. So, and then, I mean, if you're in high school trying to figure out what you want to do with your career or where you want to go to school, you just got to volunteer in whatever activities are out there. This is an amazing program, STEM for Girls. I think they have awesome programming that gives you exposure to all kinds of different things. So just get involved and
Thank you.
Read.
That's
lots of reading. And if you don't like reading, like, listen to audiobooks or podcasts or whatever, but never stop learning. That's it. I'm done, sorry.
That's great advice, especially for high school students. So thank you so much, and thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate it. And thank you for everyone watching. And if you're interested in being in my position, interviewing someone, then get in touch with STEM for Girls about the Junior Leadership Program. It's definitely a good program. Speaking about volunteering and getting involved, it's definitely a good one to be involved with. So there is also a session tomorrow with Annalie Pudan, and she will be interviewing the COO, Kim Belbin. So tune in tomorrow, October 26th, tomorrow? Yes, for more. And follow along in the clubhouse for more sessions like this. Thank you, Jacqueline.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.